Hello, hello, and welcome to another Core Brands podcast. Today I have a very special guest, Carol Gaffney, in the show. Carol, hello. Would you like to say hello and introduce yourself to our guests?
Hey, Roberta, thank you so much for having me. Hi, everyone. It's a big pleasure to be here. And my name is Carol Gaffney. I'm a brand positioning strategist, and I help founders to make sure they attract their ideal client, their dream clients by the way they position themselves. So I help them to portray their most successful self-image so they can attract the people that they really love working with.
That's great. But Carol, that's not how you started your entrepreneur journey, is it? You started in a different type of role and business. Do you want to tell us, rewind a little bit and tell us how everything started?
Yes. So first, everything started in 2019 when I had a huge burnout. That was my first burnout. Actually, I had a second burnout, and we might talk about it as well. And my first burnout in 2019. And then I decided to leave behind the corporate world and my career as an executive and as manager. So I was really successful in my career, and I decided to leave that behind and to take a break. So then the pandemic came and everything shifted. When I decided that I would start looking for a job in 2020, the pandemic started and everything shifted, as you know. So then at the end of that year, Phil decided that he would he had to leave his job as well because of pandemic. And then he said, okay, I love photography. I'm a photographer. That's the only thing I can think of is being a photographer. And I was still a little bit lost. I was studying marketing, studying branding. I had a branding background and working in corporate. But then I said, okay, I'm going to just join you in your open this photography business. And then I was doing the marketing and the branding behind the scenes for the business. We were trying different niches. We were trying wall art, we were trying family photography. And then around 2022, we decided, no, we are going to focus on personal brand photography, super niche. And then I said, okay, I will come as a brand strategist, helping our clients to get ready for the photo shoot and to get their brand clarity and everything before they step in front of the camera. So then I became passionate about it, about helping them to express themselves and to make sure to portray their most successful self-image. Then we were doing that from 2022 to 2025 until I decided to rebrand again and to focus on the mentorship on brand positioning, which is the core of my work. And then now photography sits as an extra, as the cherry on the top of the cake.
Yeah, it's so interesting that you went from the main core business being photography. And just as a side note for the listeners that don't know, Phil is Carol's husband. So it was kind of like a family business. And then you did that for 3 full years. And now you reversed and changed. And now the brand positioning is the big core of your business and the photography comes as an add-on. So it's almost like my business where strategy comes first, the foundation of the brand comes first, and the visuals come on top, just as an add-on, as an accessory. And for you is the same. So the photography is just a reflection of the personal brand positioning and how people want to be perceived and the value that they bring. So I think that's quite fascinating that you were able to navigate those two kind of like polar opposites, and now you landed in a role, a very powerful role. I must say you lead with a lot of authority on your socials. I love your posts, and the way that you bring clarity about brand positioning is really, really great. Was it easy to change? Like even the dynamic between yourself and feel like you were so used to work together, and now it's kind of like it's shifted more the importance of the role into your job. And how is that dynamic worked between the both of you?
Was not easy at first because we had lots of mindset blocks, and in terms of, okay, we have this business, everybody knows us as personal brand photography. Everybody comes to us looking for personal brand photography. Now we are going to start refusing them. So that took a while for us to accept that, especially Phil. And he was like, no, we have to accept, we have to accept. Then it took a few months for us to just make the shift. And in terms of our dynamic, he loves being behind the scenes. He loves taking my photos. And now I have more photos because he has more time to take my photos, which is amazing. He's always with the camera following me. And
He's delighted with himself now that it is kind of like more behind the scenes
he
working.
loves.
Yeah, and you're more like the face fronts of the brand.
He loves it. And this shift made total sense because what we found out when we started the business and when we decided to do personal brand photo shoots, I said, no, we are going to do that in a proper way, not only taking the camera, asking the clients to pick whatever clothes they want, whatever clothes they think suits them, and just a few poses in front of the camera, and that's it. We want that to reflect their business, to attract their ideal clients, and to really portray their most successful self-image, because I believe that's what brand positioning is about. And then while we were working with clients, some clients had amazing mindset and amazing self-image, so they were ready for doing the work for the photo shoots. Some clients, they did not have the mindset and the self-image ready for the photo shoot. So it was a bigger journey with those other clients. And then I realized that if they don't have a very strong brand positioning, if they don't have a very defined foundation, and if they don't have brand clarity, they cannot succeed in anything branding related. And you know that a lot as you work in branding as well. They cannot have great photos and photos that will attract their ideal clients, photos that will express their business and attract their ideal clients. The same for websites, the same for graphics, everything. So then that's why I made that shift, because it made a lot of sense for me to help them with that first. And once they are ready, once they have a very clear brand positioning, then they can step in front of the camera.
Yeah, that's a great explanation. And if I'm not mistaken, those years that you work just in photography, they led to a lot of work and a lot of clients. I know you guys were always busy. You were everywhere, photographing everyone. That led then to another burnout. You exhausted from all the brand photo shoots at the end of the day. Was that one of the other burnouts you had?
Yes. So in 2024, I hit another big burnout because we were super busy. 2022, we were busy. 2023, we were full on. 24, the beginning of 2024, we were very busy and everything. And then our tickets were not they were the highest in the market when it comes to personal brand photo shoots. We were the ones that were charging more in Ireland. And even though the tickets that we were charging was not how can I say, covering the time and the efforts that we were putting into the photo shoot, because we had lots of steps before the photo shoot. And then that led me to a burnout because we were doing a lot. We were working a lot, and I was networking a lot. And by the time, because I was so busy, and because the business was myself and Phil, there was a bit of brand positioning and mistakes we made that end up attracting some clients that they were not our ideal clients. Most of our clients were amazing, but we end up attracting clients that were not very aligned to what we believe and what we want, people that we want to work with. So everything together led me to a huge burnout. Then I say that 2025 was the year of recalibration, that we were sitting down, we were like, okay, we have to pause everything. We have to understand where we are going, direction we are going. 2025 was the recalibration. We made the switch in the middle of the year. And then 2026 is the year of clarity, where I have full clarity of where I'm going, what type of clients I want to work with. When Phil still does the photography as an extra for my clients, my mentoring clients, my mentees. And we also work with corporates for corporate photo shoots as well.
So it's fair to say that you walk the walk, because you almost took 2024 to do the work you're currently offering to your clients. and you did it on yourself. So
Yes.
you worked really hard on your positioning to be able to now step with clarity and um, authenticity in the role that you want to have. Carol, I know that one of the tools that you use, and I know, side note as well, because I worked with Carol and her process is amazing. I know that you use brand archetypes, enable to discover the personal brand essence of your clients. And as you know, I'm fascinated about brand archetypes. I think the psychology behind it, it's just so powerful. And I wish everyone would have access to that. Do you want to uncover a little bit how do you work with the archetypes, and if you want to give us maybe an example of how the brand archetype can then reflect in the personal brand of someone?
Yes. So brand archetypes are a set of elements that will describe your personality. So there are 12 archetypes. I work with the 12 archetypes from Carl Jung, and there are the magician, the lover, the sage, the explorer, 12 in total. And then we understand. So when the client comes to us, and then they want, before anything, before mentoring, a mentoring session, before stepping in front of the camera, even for corporates as well, we do the archetype test. So we understand which is their main archetype. So for Roberta, for example, it's the creative archetype and the explorer archetype. And those two archetypes are very much the essence of who she is. She's a very creative personality, and she's also an explorer personality. She had a motorhome before. She moved from Portugal to Ireland. She loves traveling. She loves exploring ideas. And the creative side, she's a creative, right? I don't even need to explain. She's amazing. So when we understand the main archetype, I love giving the example of Disney.
Yeah.
Disney has the magician archetype as the main archetype. So when you go, and Walt Disney, he was a magician himself. He believed that anything was possible, that everything that you believe comes true. If you watch any of his documentaries, if you read any book about him, you're gonna feel that he was a magician archetype. So when you go to Disney World, you just there on the queue to get into the park. They smell the music and everything is like you are step into a dreamland. Every
Yeah.
element of that brand is about magic. It's about you go to the attractions, the music, the way they make you feel. It's really like you are in a dream. If you go to their cruise, if you watch their ads on TV, everything is about being in a dream. And the parade, the fireworks, everything. So they are very consistent with their brand archetypes. They are very consistent. They are very aware. They have something that they call a magic moment. So when they see someone going through, for example, parents there in the shop and they don't have maybe the money, or they cannot afford buying something for their kid. And if they notice that once the parents come to the till, they might give as a gift, that they have those allowance. When I went to Disney World my first time, I remember dropping my tray of food on the floor, and I was so embarrassed. I was 15 years old. I was so embarrassed. My English was very basic, and they came to me. They cleaned. They said, "Don't worry, just sit down. We're gonna bring another meal for you." I went to pay. They were like, "No, you don't have to pay." So everything happened very quick. It was like
Yeah.
a dream, So they are very conscious about that. So that's how brand archetypes can really make a brand strong, and that's why I love working with brand archetypes and help my clients to have their brand positioning based on that essence of who they really are, and bring the strategy on the top of that. And brand archetype is an amazing tool for that.
Yeah. It turns everything very purposeful. So everything is done with a purpose and an intention. And it does not always have to be super, in your face. But it's as you said, it's the smell, it's the feeling, it's the emotion, it's the environment that you're in, or out, like all the touch points of the brand. Of course, not all of us have Disney brands, but it's the email you send, it's the thank you cards, it's the packaging, the way you speak. So all of those touch points are very well defined by the brand archetype. Did you have any clients with, a haha moment, as in, oh my God, I was not expecting this. This is so surprising. Any funny stories like that?
Well, most of my clients, they say, if not all the clients, they say I was not expecting that. I was not expecting the journey that I was signing up for.
Yeah. I was certainly not expecting the whole process and everything involved up until the day that we actually went and met to take the photos. I was very, very surprised, positively surprised with everything. Definitely, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you are a good example, right? Because you are brand strategist, but it's great because we worked in Roberta's client and she's my client. So we worked in a way that I see her brand from the outside and she sees my brand from the outside. So it's really
Yeah,
important when we are a brand. I always say, if you are in a jar, people cannot read the label, your label. They can only, you cannot read your own label. Other people can read your label.
yeah, yeah.
So I think for you, maybe you can say what was surprised, something that surprised you in terms of the way that I designed your brand photo shoot, in the way that I helped you to have more brand clarity around your brand. Because every client, they say, is different stories.
Yeah, like for me, it was very, so the archetype was surprising because I do brand archetypes for my clients as well, but I never really done mine. So I was not surprised by the creator, but I was surprised by the explorer. But because we have that kind of like idea that the explorer, I always associate to the Dora the Explorer, the cartoon. I'm nothing like her. I don't go really backpacking in the woods and stuff like that. But I am an explorer. I'm very curious. I learn to know new things. I love to meet new people. I love to travel and explore new ideas. So after you bring that clarity into my brand, it totally made sense. And then the part where you did the color analysis, that was mind blowing. I will never forget. I've been singing praises about that to absolutely everyone because the first time you showed me the palette, the color palette, I was like, oh no, that's not me. I don't like brown. And look at me, I'm wearing brown now.
Yeah.
So it was very surprising, but I trusted fully on your process because since the beginning I told you you're the specialist. I'm going to fully immerse myself in the process. And when I went shopping for the clothes and everything, I was like really looking into the colors that you told me and the style and everything. And you were absolutely right. Everything made sense. And I got so many compliments. And it's always also because of the process that went through. And to add to that, because I was feeling so good about it, my confidence also increased. So I'm able to step into my, networking events and other commitments with more confidence in my own skin and my own brand. Like as an example, we had a networking event last week. It was my first networking event. Well, it was not the first because we had a Christmas party, but it was the first networking event I had in 2026. And it was the very first time I went to a networking event where I was not nervous. I was so relaxed with no problems at all to talk with anyone. I felt like, who's this? This is not. And I thank you because I think you were part of that process as well. And I hope that people will understand how important it is to have someone to work on your brand positioning. And because it's a little bit about working on your confidence as well. At least for me, it was working on my confidence and the way that, I step into a room, I introduce myself. So thank you so much, Carol, for that. It was surprising and mind blowing and all the good things at the same time.
Yes. And I was in that same networking event, and she was networking more than me.
I know. Who's this?
I was a bit tired that day. I didn't sleep well the night before. And then I had a friend who came to have lunch with me. And then I didn't network much. And she was full on networking and everything. And the color palette that Roberta is mentioning, I work with the seasonal color palette. For example, Roberta is a soft autumn. I am a warm autumn. And then all my clients, they have the analysis. So I check which is their color palette. And I give them an AI, a stylist. The AI stylist has their signature style. So for Roberta, I think it's elegant and smart casual, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Mine is classic and elegant. So we all have a mix of style that forms our signature style, plus our color palette, the palette that works, that is gonna match, it's gonna be very harmonic with our skin tone, our color, and the color of our hair and everything, our eyes, and then our measurements, the measurements of our body. And this AI, stylist AI, if you want to buy anything, you just send the photos of whatever you want to buy, the measurements of the outfit. And this AI is going to tell you, yes, buy it. No, don't buy it. Or maybe buy, but do those adjustments. Or maybe buy and wear with such and such other pieces to make it more you and more that suits you, that would suit you better. So then Roberta was addicted with her
So I would still use
stylist.
it. And fun fact, there was a couple of things I bought that the GPT told me, well, this is probably a 6 out of 10. So it was not really a fit. But I was
Mhm.
like, oh, I'm not going to listen because I really like it. I'm going to buy it. And I bought it. And guess what? I haven't worn those things.
Happens to me as well.
And it's just so funny because that used to happen to me before. Like I would like, oh, I love that jumpsuit. I'm going to buy it. And
Mhm.
then I never find the perfect day to wear it. And it's not because of the day. It's just because you like it on the mannequin. But then when you put it
Yes.
on, it's a different story. It doesn't really feel like you. It's not like there's no harmony between, all the parts of you with that color or that style.
Yeah.
So, well, it like we're talking a lot about the physical and the visual part, but I know the work it's much more than that. It's much more in depth. So, I want to ask you, Carol, if you don't mind to tell us what are the key steps or the key things that you look when someone comes to you to do mentoring, what areas do you work with that person and how do you help them, step into their full with their positioning?
Yeah. First, I can start by telling you a little bit of my program. It's my methodology is inside my program. My program is called Branded from Within. What does that mean? That I believe that any brand starts from within the founder, starts from the essence of the founder, what is essential for the founder, and what belongs to their essence. So that's branded from within. And I have a formula. It's essence plus strategy equal, which the result is brand positioning. So the way I describe essence is like the diamond in a raw stone, a raw diamond. Yeah, that's your essence. That's who you really are. For example, for Roberta, she's a creator, she's an explorer, and every archetype has different types underneath. So she's a specific type of creator. She's a specific type of explorer. I'm explorer as well, but I'm a different type. So I love exploring ideas. I love exploring places. And so once we understand what personality is, not only about archetypes, about all different layers of your personality. Once we understand what is that person's personality, their core values, their ideal client, what is non-negotiable for them, once we understand that, that's the raw diamond, that's the essence. Then we add strategy. The strategy is the I call intentional image, is the brand image, the brand voice, the way that they go into networking events, the way they present themselves on a networking event, the way they communicate on LinkedIn, on a podcast, when they go step on stage to give a talk. So those are the strategies that I help them to be the best version of themselves. They can be that diamond, but I'm gonna shape the diamond in a way that the brand position is the result, is the jewelry, is when the diamond is ready to go and to be sold, right? So, and then that brand positioning will attract their ideal clients. So first essence, I understand Brand archetypes, I understand their core values, what is non-negotiable for them. For some people, that journey is very uncomfortable. So working with me, it's not a walk in the park. I go very deep into your personality and can be very uncomfortable sometimes. We all have our traumas, our when we were a child, some things that happened to us that stopped us from being who we really are. And I try to rescue that, to rescue who you really are, who you really mean, who you are meant to be. And sometimes it's not comfortable because we have lots of beliefs and a lot of paradigms that covers that true essence. So that piece can be very uncomfortable. And then I add the strategy. I understand what is your ideas, your signature style, your color palette, and I help you to put yourself out into the world in your most successful self-image, in the best version of yourself. I add those strategies: how to post on LinkedIn, how to express yourself on LinkedIn, how to redo your website. Most people, their website does not communicate their true value. How to step in front of the camera, how to step and how to present yourself in a networking event like what you just mentioned. And then the result's going to be a very, very well positioned brand. So it's a 360 really. Sometimes in the session, I open the session with, if it's a one-to-one, I have a topic for that session. And then the person did not have a great week and start talking about their week, boundaries. Talk a lot about brand authority. Brand authority is I really love brand authority. Inside the brand positioning, brand authority is one of the topics that I really love. And boundaries is inside brand authority. So then I help them to have stronger boundaries, to have healthy boundaries, and to understand that they have the right to have boundaries. We all have the to have strong boundaries, to demand respect, to demand to have boundaries. Sometimes the conversation, the session goes sideways, but then helps them to have a strong personal brand and a strong brand authority. So yeah, it's a 360 journey that I help my clients with.
Yeah. And I'm glad you touched on the boundaries, because I believe I was going to ask you what are the common kind of like blocks or barriers people find when they're going through the process, because as you said, it can be uncomfortable. And, kind of like looking into our own boundaries is one thing, but putting them in place and really enforcing them on our daily basis, it's a completely different story. So I guess, like, in terms of boundaries, what do you feel like it's most common, like people are kind of like letting things slide? Is it with time management? It's saying no. I think saying no, it's a big one, isn't it?
Yes, they know. And a big one is when people, like, we all know when we hop onto a discovery call, a sales call with a potential client, and that potential client gives lots of red flags. And
Oh yeah.
we still, that happened to me before, that happened to you before, and we learned that,
And
thankfully.
it will happen again. It will
Can
happen.
happen again.
Yeah.
Happen again, and we still let that person hire us, where now I'm more aware of it. So when I see the red flags, I don't respond their objection. So when I see the red flags, I just pause and I just don't answer all their objections, and I let the call just finish in a natural way. I don't finish in an abrupt
Yeah.
way. I just a very natural way. But that's one thing. Another one is I had a situation this week. One of my clients, she's a caregiver archetype. And then she was started working with me, and then she just shared with me a conversation she was having with a client who was just about to pay the invoice. And that client, even though the terms and conditions were agreed, the price, it was all agreed, that client was still trying to ask for discount. So my client answered, "I'm so sorry. That's the price. I cannot give you a cheaper price because of this, because of that, because of this, because of that. And I'm so sorry, blah, blah, blah." And then I gave the feedback to her, and I said, you have the right to just say, this is the price, those are the terms, and if you'd like to go ahead, here are the payment details. And then she was, but it's so difficult for me to do that, because that's part of my essence of being extra polite. I said, no, that's not part of your essence. That's a belief. That's a paradigm. Thinking that you are not that, thinking that you having strong boundaries, you having healthy boundaries, and not being extra apologetic, or like she has nothing to apologize for. It's her
Yeah,
price.
exactly.
So thinking that when you have the brand authority is rude, that is a paradigm that was implanted into our minds when we were small, maybe depending on the childhood we had. So that's a belief, that's a paradigm, that's not part of who we are. And we all have the right to have boundaries. We all have the right to be respected. So I was trying to explain that to her. That's one of the mistakes that people do a lot. Here in Ireland, they say sorry for everything, right? Sorry,
Yeah,
sorry, 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 sorry.
yeah, it's a very cultural thing.
It's a very cultural thing. I try to help my clients to understand that they don't have to apologize for everything. They don't have to bend backwards to make sure that their clients or their suppliers or everybody's happy. They have to have strong boundaries, and they have to demand respect because they have that right.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it will never come 100% natural to us, because I feel like we have to keep practicing those boundaries every single time. Like, I'm very good at saying no. I was always good at saying no since a very young age, but I let some of my boundaries fell apart a couple of times in my life. And still to date, sometimes I'm writing an email and I find myself saying, "Oh, I'm sorry, but," and then I start thinking, no, delete, delete, delete. I'm not sorry. I'm going to rephrase this. Like, of course, I'm not going to be rude, because that's not the point. It's just when you're apologizing for everything, you're giving a wrong signal. You're kind of like being led instead of leading. In our position as business owners, and we're running a business, we're not running a charity or a friendship circle. You kind of have to be in a leadership position. So I think it requires practice and requires a lot of mindset work. But yeah, it's also cultural. So it is what it is. It comes with the culture. Carol, we are nearly finished our talk. I can't believe time flies when you're having fun. But I want to ask you one last question, which is, I know you love to read, and sometimes we talk a lot about the things that inspire us. I want to ask you if at this moment, are you reading or watching something that is inspiring you in your business journey? Anything you want to share with us?
There is a book that I am listening on Audible right now. Let me just get the name right. It's all about our inner child, and how that if we let that inner child, because she calls the sunshine the child and the shadow child. So
Oh,
if we let the shadow child take control, and if we start behaving like a spoiled child, that can ruin our lives. So we have to always be aware who is in control. If it's your adult self, it's your conscious mind, or if it's your subconscious mind, you as a child. And of course, it can be the sun child or the shadow child. The name of the book is, let me just see here, The Child in You, Stephanie Stahl, I think.
oh,
Yes, The
I will
Child in You.
I will add this on the show notes for
Yeah,
any listeners.
that is helping me to shape my methodology as well, because most of the time, the shadow child of my clients stop them from stepping into their best version of themselves, their most successful self-image, because they have lots of paradigms, lots of beliefs that come from their childhood.
Yeah, absolutely. I was like a few years ago, I did an inner child, not podcast, inner child workshop. And I did a lot of inner child meditation and work. And I came to the realization, I've never thought about this all these years before. that one of the reasons why I was most of the times quiet and afraid of speaking up, it was because when I was in primary school, so from a very young age, 5, 6 years old, my teacher I was very quiet in the classroom. I was happy if I did not have to speak with anyone or go to the board or answer any questions, but she didn't like that. So she used to knock on my head. Like, yeah, so this is the 80s. So she used to knock on my head and ask, hello, hello, is anyone there?
No way.
Like, are you asleep? I was paying attention. I was just, in my own. And I think that's like the 4 years of primary school that I had that teacher every single year. That kind of like was ingrained. It still is ingrained in me, to be
Mhm.
honest. That I think about it now so many times. I was like, that's why I probably prefer to just stay quiet, because she was putting
Definitely.
me on the spot constantly. And I would never think about this if I didn't do that inner child work that is so important. I think everyone should do inner child, because the things that still are ingrained in us since young age are just incredible for the negative and positive aspect of it.
Yes.
So yeah, yeah, it was very, very insightful. Carol, thank you so much. I want to ask you if you want to share how people can get in touch with you, to work with you. Do you have the doors open for the Branded from Within? Do you want to tell us more about that?
Yes, the doors are open for Branded from Within. You can go into carolgaffney.com and you have all the information there. Sometimes I have I know, depending on when you're going to be listening to this podcast. Sometimes I have a master class. Sometimes I have an event on. I'm going to be launching my book this year. I don't know when, but this year.
Very
So
good, very exciting.
you're going to see any updates about my book and everything in carolgaffney.com. LinkedIn is Carol-Gaffney, hyphen Gaffney. Instagram is carol.gaffney. Thank you so
Very
much. It
good.
was a pleasure. You are amazing. I'm a big fan. Thank you so, so, so much.
No, you're very welcome. It was a pleasure to have you on the show. I'll make sure to put all your details on the show notes. So if people want to get in touch, which I think they should, they can reach out to you, Carol. Thank you so much for your time and for sharing your journey and your core brand with us. And yeah, I'll see you all in the next time. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.